In a certain church on Lake St. Peter's, there was a man in the choir who just couldn't sing. He was tone deaf. And so the choir director felt that he should leave, but the others in the choir, they felt that maybe he should be at least given another chance, maybe another opportunity, and with time he would improve. The choir director decided to go to the pastor and complain. She said, "Father, if you don't get rid of that man, I myself am going to resign from the choir." So the pastor, he went to the man and he said to him, "Perhaps you should leave the choir." "Why?" asked the man. "Well," the pastor said, 4 or 5 people have told me that you just can't sing." "Father, that's nothing," the man replied. 40 to 50 people have told me you cannot preach." God uses the most unlikely people to fulfill his plan. Humble humility in service to others. Look at the call of Isaiah. Look at the call of St. Paul. Look at the call of St. Peter and his co-workers. How did they feel when they realized that God was calling them? What do they say? "I'm unworthy. I'm not worthy to do this." Isaiah said, "Woe is me. I am doomed, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips." St. Paul himself said, "I do not feel that I am worthy, for Lord, I have persecuted your church. I cannot do this job." And St. Peter, he fell at the feet of Jesus. "Depart from me, Lord. Depart from me, for I myself am an unclean man." A personal feeling of unworthiness. And yet God continued to call them. "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, Simon. From now on, you will be catching men." Their qualifications for the work of God doesn't come from them. The qualifications come from God himself. It is not their personal achievements, it's God's grace. That's why St. Paul says, "But by the grace of God, I am what I am." Beyond the feeling of personal unworthiness, there is another quality these 3 people have in common when called to do God's work, and that is the readiness to follow God's directives. As soon as Isaiah hears the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" Isaiah immediately responds, "Here I am, Lord. Send me." Peter and his partners were told, and they left everything. They left their career, their livelihood, and they followed him without looking back. St. Paul threw himself with zeal into God's work. So much zeal that he worked harder than anyone else that had come before him. And yet he quickly points out, it was not I, but the grace of God that is with me. In other words, merely feeling unworthy or incompetent, it doesn't make us people unfit to do the work of God. When we follow the guidance of God in our lives, we achieve results that will blow our minds away. Look at St. Peter's miraculous catch of fish. They had toiled all night long, catching absolutely nothing. They were relying on their own competence. They were fishermen. They knew what they were doing. They had fished that lake hundreds of times, following their own minds and how to throw the nets. Their results are one word: failure. Complete failure. Following their own pride brought what? Failure. Following God's command, which humanly speaking did not make sense to them: throw your net into the deep, Peter. But Lord, we've been out here all night long. We have caught nothing. And who, by the way, are you? You're no fishing guide. The results were resounding success. Their boats were almost sinking. As God continues to ask, who shall I send? And who will go for us? He still needs messengers. He still needs men and women like Isaiah who will proclaim his word. Not too long ago, I was on retreat. And it was rather astonishing. I was surprised by the fact that they showed us a little short clip on YouTube regarding the decline and almost the ridding of the wolves in Yellowstone. It was a process that took place over a period of years. The wolves were eradicated, and people thought it would be the best thing in the world. With it, the elk began to climb higher and higher into the mountains. The vegetation began to disappear. The birds, the wildlife, the vegetation, the fruit, it was all gone. They decided to reintroduce the wolves into Yellowstone, driving the elk back down into the lower valleys closer to the rivers. The vegetation once again emerged. Wildlife began to come back again, and Yellowstone was restored. And during the retreat, they related this to the fact that the church over the years has lost nuns, sisters willing to dedicate their life in service to God. And because of it, our church has been decimated. Decimated. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Is God calling one of you? Or like St. Paul, who announces his message in foreign lands to the ends of the earth. Who will go? Who will be that missionary for Christ? Or even like St. Peter, who will speak up for God in our workplace and bring our coworkers, our business partners to know and to follow Christ? Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Like Christ, even when the pastor asks you to do something for the parish, will you immediately respond? Here I am, send me. If we feel unworthy, maybe we feel incompetent, know that it is people just like you that God can use. All that remains is for you to take the risk and to say, here I am, send me. God himself will see to it that he renders you fit for the job he wants you to do for him. He did it for Isaiah. He did it for St. Paul. He did it for St. Peter. He'll do it for you too. Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?